Welcome, everyone, to Talk to Tony Wilson. My guest today is Miss Stephanie Simpson. She's a Mecklenburg County resident in North Carolina, and she's going to share her experience with testing for the coronavirus. How you doing today, Stephanie?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Okay. Stephanie was tested due to some indirect contact with someone that was possibly positive for the coronavirus. Is that correct, Stephanie?
That's correct. It happened at work.
Okay. Okay. So when you got your notification saying that you need to be tested for COVID-19, what was your first thought?
Actually, I was just like, I don't want that swab going up my nose. That was like my initial thought. But it was kind of weird because I was at work and I had planned on going on vacation. So my last day was like on that Tuesday the 7th. So on the 8th, we have like a group chat. So we got a text saying that one of the guys didn't feel well and he was going to get tested for COVID-19. So that Thursday, he ended up finding out that he was positive. So the guy that I worked with, that's my team leader, he texted and said, hey, you know, the guy tested positive, just make sure you go get a test. So I was like, okay. So from that, once I found out about it, I actually was kind of calling around to like the CVS's and the Walgreens, and they actually had something like that Saturday or that Sunday, but I really was just trying to go ahead and get it over with to kind of figure out what's going on. So that's when I found another location off of Freedom, and I actually went to that drive-up location.
Okay. So you had some knowledge of what the testing was like before you found your location?
Well, my husband, of course, he had to do a test. He went to CVS, and with them, though, at that particular CVS he went to, they actually have them swab their own nose. So I already knew that wasn't going to work because I know I wasn't going to be able to swab my own nose. So I actually reached out to another coworker that got tested a few weeks prior that works actually at the sheriff's office. He told me he went to that, like I said, that place on Freedom, which is called, I think it was called Star Med. And so I had to send them up. I had to actually answer questions over email. They sent me a confirmation. They told me what day to go, which was that Friday, July 10th. And before I got there, 15 minutes prior to me actually getting tested, you actually talked to like a virtual online doctor. And so she was asking like, why, what happened? And she recommended me actually take the swab test and not the test that they draw your blood.
Okay.
Try to figure out if you actually, I guess, have whatever they're looking for.
Okay. So besides your coworker, did you think you may have had exposure at any other locations or any other place that maybe you've gone?
No, because, I try to practice like wearing a mask and all that. Even like when Anthony had to get tested, my husband had to get tested, we separated in the house. I stayed, we stayed in like separate areas as much as possible. But then once I found out like two workers actually tested positive, I was just like, it's nowhere else that if I actually were to test positive, it wouldn't have been any other person I would have been around besides my people at work. Because we do try to practice social distancing, but a lot of times, when you're out talking and having like your little group meetings, it's not always, that we're like 6 feet apart.
So when you went to get your testing done, can you walk us through that? What all you had to do, what it was like to be tested?
So when I went through the drive-through, it's actually, I went like 11, so the line was not long. So when I got there, they had you fill out a form, and the form just basically has like your information, like your date of birth and your name, and like I said, you talk to an online doctor, and they kind of ask you, what happened and why you're there and all that. So once I talked to the online doctor, they got her information, put it on the paperwork, and you just go through the drive-through and they like swab your nose. They do one nostril like for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they did the right nostril 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it was, me personally, it was the worst experience ever. and I just don't want to have to ever go through it again.
Now,
That's just me.
now I've had some people that tell me they had nosebleeds and things afterwards. It sounded kind of traumatic. Was that the same experience you had, or was it any different?
You said, was it dramatic?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Traumatic.
well, to me, not really that. It was just like an uncomfortable feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but I was kind of stressed out about it too
Okay.
because I just didn't want to have to go through it. So, I mean, they kind of like calm you and talk to you about it and say, hey, it's not going to be that bad. But if you don't like something going up your nose, you're not going to like it
Mm-hmm.
at all. So, either way, it's not comfortable.
Okay. So
Mm.
did you say they swabbed both nostrils or just one for you?
They
Like
actually
some
swapped
are doing
both.
and some are doing two. Which
They
way?
did both.
Okay, they did both for you.
Hmm.
Okay. So what exactly were your results?
So my results came back negative, but I kind of like jumped the gun because I got an email. So I did it that Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So that Monday, I got like a little email because they told me before I left, they was like, it'll be like 3 to 5 days and you'll get an email. So if it's negative, you'll get an email. But if it's positive, you get a phone call.
Okay.
Well, that Monday, I got an email. So I got really excited. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't have it. But needless to say, that wasn't my test results. It was just them sending me, I guess, like the app to download for the actual place, and then they would actually send my results to my portal. So I didn't get my results until that Thursday, which they came back negative. But just like in between that time, you just kind of like you feel like you have symptoms and you really don't have symptoms because it's just like it's all in your mind. So, but mine came back negative, thankfully.
Wonderful. Glad to hear that. Now, on the day that you were notified that you needed to go be tested, was that a significant day for you?
Well, when I got the email saying to come Friday, I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, that the day before, I was kind of like a little nervous, but the people that I know that actually had the test, they was like, oh, it's not that bad, it's gonna be okay, but you just have to, have that actual experience to really say if you feel like it's bad, if it's not. So I actually really had anxiety, and I actually told the guy when I got there, I'm like, I hope you're not taking my blood pressure because I can tell you right now it's gonna be high.
Now, you said at the site that you went to, they offer the blood testing for COVID also.
Yes, but then doctor that I talked to online recommended me do the swab test.
Did they say who is recommended to do the nasal or who is recommended for blood? Did they give you an idea of why you were better for a nasal swab versus the blood?
Right. She actually didn't say. I guess maybe because it was maybe so recent that maybe she, said that, but she never really said like why she would recommend one over the other. But she, after I told her like the timeline of when it happened, I found out like that Wednesday. My last time actually being around him was that Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
She just recommended me do the swab test.
So can you say how your coworker is doing now? Because I think your testing has been a little over a month ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that was the I think the ninth. Well, that particular coworker actually had like the fever and the sweats.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had another coworker that tested positive, and they more or less had like the cold symptoms, like headaches,
Uh-huh.
like the runny nose and coughing and that. So they had two different symptoms,
Uh-huh.
but they both tested positive. Uh,
And they're doing okay now.
They are. They are. We actually all back at work, so um it was just one of those things where once I found out, they did something a little different at work. So when I actually reported it, when I found out that Wednesday, well actually that Thursday when he actually tested positive, I did reach out to my supervisor, and they was like, you quarantine for the 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once I quarantined for 14 days, I found out when I actually had the test that HR personnel wanted me to actually quarantine another 14 days, actually after the test, just in case I had symptoms. if I, just in case I took the test too early.
Well, is there anything that you would like for us to know about being tested for COVID-19? Any experience you want us to be aware of, or anything that you'd like us to know?
Only thing I would say is definitely wear your mask. It's, I mean, I know it's not foolproof, but I guess my thing now is if I ever tested positive again, at least I can say I did try to wear my mask like I was supposed to. I try to keep my social distance. When you're at work and you working with different agencies and you're around different people, a lot of them are comfortable and just feel like I guess they don't want to wear a mask. And even like the two people that tested positive, they're back working. And I mean, honestly, they don't really wear a mask, but I have my mask on every time I go somewhere. So, like, again, like I said, it's probably not like foolproof, but at least if you attempt to try to wear the mask and keep your social distance, I think you'll be fine. But I definitely just didn't like it. And that's something that I don't want to experience again. And honestly, for my first time Friday, we went to lunch. I hadn't been like out at a restaurant with more than like maybe my mother or like one of my friends or my husband or whatever. And it was just like a weird feeling. And I'm still not comfortable with even going to a restaurant because you can't have your mask on to eat, but then you don't want to have to keep like taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, putting it on. So I already know for myself that I wouldn't go to eat at a restaurant yet, especially with knowing that people that's actually have tested and not knowing, like, I guess that they would be considered a carrier or whatever the case may be. It's just I mean, I guess the only good thing is I knew that they had it compared to people that are in your face and you don't know that they had it and they don't want to share that with you.
Well, now there you hear it. You hear from Stephanie about what it's like to be tested for COVID-19. And I will concur with what she's saying. Keep your distance, wear your mask, wash your hands, just be careful. There are people that still don't believe this is a real virus. They don't believe they should keep their distance or wear a mask. But let's just be vigilant. We're trying to look to not just flatten the curve. We're trying to get rid of this virus. Let it go in the opposite direction, not come towards us. Let it move further away from us. So with that being said, if you're having flu-like symptoms or think you've been around someone that may have been tested positive for COVID-19, or even if you feel like you just want to be tested just for your own knowledge. And if you don't know where to go, just do a web search for COVID-19 testing sites and just follow what the website tells you. It'll get you to the location. And also while you're there, or even if you call first, just ask them about this saliva testing. Some sites are offering that also. So this concludes another talk with Tony Wilson. And to all I will say, you have a great day.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for joining me.